Hi there, my name is Judy Davey. I run a business called The Food Coach, and I'm here today to talk to you about plant milk versus real milk. The first thing I think I'm going to say is that what is it that you value most? Do you care about your health most? Do you care about the planet most? Do you care about animal welfare? Is it taste? Its price? All of these things I'm sure you care about to some extent, but really think about what you value most. If you care about animal welfare, then of course dairy milk is not going to be a consideration, in which case we'll talk about these plant-based milks. If, however, you have cheese, you have yogurt, then the animal welfare issue probably is less important to you. I'm sure you care about the fact that bobby cows are killed, cows are separated, calves are separated from their mothers. But it's that's the harsh reality about dairy farming. If you care about your health, then there is no question that dairy milk is the healthiest option. It's the highest source of protein, the highest source of calcium. It provides vitamin D if it's been pasture grown, pasture fed I should say, and it has some B2, some B6 and some vitamin A in it. The question of whether you have whole milk, reduced fat milk or skim milk is really entirely up to you, and according to the Australian Heart Foundation, unless you have risk of heart disease and you've got high cholesterol, then you take your pick. They believe that if you have got high cholesterol or you risk of heart disease, then the whole fat milk can increase the risk of raising your cholesterol further. So I personally have a reduced fat milk, not skim milk, because I don't like the taste of it particularly, but I have a reduced fat because I am postmenopausal and I like to make savings, calorific savings, energy savings where I can, so that I can enjoy other foods elsewhere. Now, let's talk about sustainability. Yes, cows do emit more greenhouse gases than the plants that are grown to make plant-based milks. However, some of these plant-based milks have traveled a long way to get to us here, and that is a factor to consider. I like to ease my conscience about this by making sustainable, by acting sustainably in other areas. So I make sure I recycle as much as I can, I buy as little as possible, I repurpose things where I can. I have 2 worm farms and a compost, and you know, in my mind I am creating some domestic carbon credits so that I can have some proper milk and cheese and yogurt. Right. I want to just dispense with a few myths. Some people think that a reduced fat milk has got more sugar. It does not have any added sugar at all. If you can remember the days when a bottle of milk was delivered to your front doorstep and it was unhomogenized, there was a layer of cream. Let's imagine it was a litre bottle and there was about 80 mils of cream on the top. Reduced fat milk is simply that same litre bottle with the 80 mils of cream taken away. In order for it to become a litre of milk again, it's just added, there's just more reduced fat milk added to it. Consequently, when there's more reduced fat milk added to it, there's more of the natural sugar lactose in it. That is why it reads as if there's more sugar. There is not. There are some added sugars in these plant-based milks, and that's what worth you knowing about. There is slightly more calcium in reduced fat milk, and there is slightly more protein because there's no fat, and so for the same argument, there's more of these things. So I think the advice on this one, if you are going to go with, and you don't have a dairy intolerance, I have to keep stressing that you don't have a dairy intolerance, is try to buy locally and support your local farmers. Australian owned is always a good thing, and if it doesn't have to travel too far, that's a great thing too, so your milk hasn't got so many air miles. So in some ways you're compensating for those greenhouse gas emissions from these dairy cows. Right, so we'll park the plant-based milk aside. I want to dispense with another myth, not milk. Somebody said to me that they were having some almond milk because it had more protein than cow's milk. It's just such nonsense. Almond milk, and I've got one here, almond milk has about, if you're lucky, 3% of almonds in it. That's what this one's got. And there is, in this one, in a cup of almond milk, there's 2 grams of protein. By contrast, in this the reduced fat A2 milk that we've got peeping up the top here, there's over 8 grams of protein. So you've got less than a quarter of the protein in almond milk. And I should add with this one that this almond milk has also got cane sugar as the third added ingredient, maltodextrin, which is come from corn, which is another sweetener. It's got phosphorus and calcium mineral to boost the mineral content to match the calcium in normal milk. It's got sunflower oil, which has been highly processed using chemicals to get the oil out of the sunflower, and then it's got some emulsifiers, sunflower and lecithin to gum it all together, plus some gums. As well as that, almonds use a phenomenal amount of water to grow, and this is not a health food product, this is a highly processed product, so I will just put that one aside. Now, soy milk, which I've got here, this is the original plant-based milk. In terms of protein, this is excellent. If you can digest soy, I personally can't. And interestingly, I did go through a phase of having soy milk many, many years ago because somewhere along the line I thought it was healthy and I thought dairy was bad for me, and I had soy, I had terrible wind, and I packed on an enormous amount of weight with this. Alright, so in terms of protein, there is actually more protein, plant protein in this than there is in the cow's milk. There is fibre, which is great. This has got a bit of added sugar to it, but not a lot. Filtered water, 40% soybeans, tapioca syrup, which is sweetener, sea salt, mugi, atomigos, I don't know what that is, Job's tears, and calcium carbonate to boost the carbon. If you can tolerate soy, it's okay. From a sustainability point of view, it's one of the better ones, although I am told there are huge, vast plains of land and forests that have been chopped to create space for soy fields. So let's put that one aside. Oat milk is considered to be the best in terms of sustainability, and if you can see the number of oat products I've got here, you can see that's probably the truth. Oats require less water than almonds. We grow oats in this country, yes, that's great. And there's some really clever manufacturers making oat milk. This one here, which is called Oatly, is a fine example. Baristas like oat milk. A lot of them have got a chemical in them called, most of the barista products actually, regardless of whether it's oat, almond or otherwise, have got a product called dibasic potassium phosphate, which is another additive, and that gives that milk the stretch and the consistency that you want if you want to froth milk as a barista. It's not something you would have naturally, it is added, and it's also added to products like macaroni and cheese and things that you can buy pre-packaged, not exactly health food. I believe that there's a lot of people who are buying these products thinking that they're healthy, and I really just want to say they're not. They're not healthy. Some of them are not. They're not terrible, but they're not a health food. As well, this one Oatly and this one here, Chobani. I don't know where you find them in your supermarket if you do, but I found these in the fresh milk section, the refrigerated section, which I think automatically gives this idea that they are healthier. They are fresh foods. They're not. I don't know whether distributors have done some deal to put them there, but I think it's really blooming clever. These could quite happily sit outside in your pantry for months and months and nothing would happen to them. But I'm going to tell you, if you care about the planet, sustainability, this product here, the oats are grown in Canada and they are shipped to the Netherlands, and then it's manufactured in the Netherlands and then it's sent here. This one is, I think, also Canadian oats, and it's manufactured in Spain and sent to us. So let's just pop them aside. The dibasic potassium phosphate is important though, because that's what most people, giving you that sort of mouth feel, is what most people like. What is this one? This is Califia. This is US based, I think must be California. Less oats, 7% oats. It's got sunflower oil, again extracted with chemicals. the stabilizer, the dipotassium phosphate, calcium carbonate, which is just boosting the calcium content again, and some sea salt, and it's manufactured in America. So where can we get an oat milk that comes from Australia? Here, this is Pure Harvest organic, and I do recommend you have organic when it comes to oats. I heard about the Randwick racehorses that were given normally grown oats, probably with glyphosates in them, they were given them as feed, and they tested with chemicals in their bloodstream. Same oats, incidentally, that Uncle Toby's take quite happily. Pure Harvest is an excellent company, I think. You won't find any dibasic potassium phosphate in this, so this one won't do the stretching that these ones over there will. It's a good price. You can get it in the supermarket, and it has got, and this is for you guys who really care about the planet or can't have milk because because you can't tolerate it. This has got filtered water, organic whole oats, 15%, a minimum of 15%, high oleic sunflower oil, plant calcium, and sea salt. Now, I asked them whether the organic oats came from Australia, and they said mostly if they can get them, but we cannot source enough organic oats to meet the demand. So they're getting these from Finland. So while they're coming from Finland, they're manufacturing the product in Australia. So at least it's better than growing from somewhere, getting sent to Europe and coming back this way. High oleic sunflower oil, again, it's extracted, but it's organic high oleic sunflower, so it's a little bit better. There'd be fewer chemicals in it. And the plant calcium they use comes from a seaweed, which, according to my research on the internet, is apparently more digestible than the other calcium carbonate, which is in the majority of these things, which comes from limestone or rock. Makes sense that it would be more digestible. All of these on the subject of the seaweed, the plant-based calcium from seaweed. They say more research is done, but more research always needs to be done. So I'm not being paid by dairy companies, I'm not being paid by Pure Harvest. I happen to think this is a good product. This organic cocoa quenches a coconut milk, and it's got filtered water, organic coconut milk, brown rice, and sea salt. Very few ingredients, much less processed. I like this. This one is Australian oats, 9% sunflower oil, sunflower and canola oil, and minerals, phosphorus and calcium. But Australian oats, at least it's not travelling so far. Barista gave me this one, said it tasted awful. Taste has got to be a component. And this macadamia milk, you might think, great, it's Australian, doesn't travel that far, and it's true, but we've only got 2.5% Australian. Macadamia oats, I know macadamias use there's a lot of chemicals to grow them, and this third ingredient is sugar. So I'm a bit exhausted. There are other milks. There's pea protein milk, which I tried, but it was awful. Almond milk that is promoted as being high in protein will have peas in it or faba beans in it. The pea proteins are meant to be better for the land, provided it's not a monocrop and they don't just grow peas in the same space the whole time. The same applies with all of these plant-based foods, by the way. And hemp milk is coming. We don't seem to be able to get it at the moment. They say hemp milk is more sustainable. There's very little amount of hemp used in it. Again, like the almond, there's only a few % used in it. The jury's a bit out on that. So, in a nutshell, I think I have narrowed it down. In a nutshell, I'm going to say to you, if you don't have a dairy intolerance, use dairy, buy local. And if you do, or you're really concerned about animal welfare, and fair enough as well, and you just don't want to have any dairy at all, then look for the product that is made mostly from Australian oats or manufactured in Australia. Try to buy organic, steer clear of almond. I would say steer clear of macadamias actually too, and perhaps choose an oat or a coconut similar to this one here by Pure Harvest. I think I've got there. Thank you. If you want to read about this, you'll find it on my blog on thefoodcoachcourses.com.au. And if you want to read any more articles, you'll find some there, or the Food Coach. You want to speak to me or email me, it's judy@thefoodcoach.com.au. Thanks so much.